So, where we last left off, we were going into the tribal village arena. I don't know how that man who clearly does not have a radio is just radioing me, but okay. He's not letting... Right. Oh god, don't tell me I'm not allowed in yet. Because isn't this my current quest? Find it... Oh, I need to find another route. I thought they let us in the front door at first. Alright, well, it's not giving me a waypoint, so I'll have to figure it out myself. Is it really just right here? I think it's right here. I think it was immediately next to it. Okay, apparently this was just an open entrance they never built a gate at, because they even have, like, food here and, like, wicker baskets and stuff. So I guess they use this path as well. If I don't walk around this bend and see a giant wall, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Perfect. So, I don't recall, does this game ever explain why everyone uses radios but there is no contact with the outside world?
Maybe radios can't pick up a signal far enough from the outside world, so we're only getting local signals.
Oh, okay, so they only have short band radio and not long band.
Maybe the entire resort island only had short band radios.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's why none of the televisions work.
Okay, it all makes sense now. Ash says in the chat, I like production, economy, and murdering dogs. Support me for prime president.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Is that zombie sinking into the floor a bit? He kinda is. Huh. Right, so I'm in the arena now. I distinctly remember this being really easy. And I scalped all of her hair off in a decapitation. Oh man, I can't wait till I build up my rage ability in one shot, whatever the boss of this place is. I don't even remember what the boss of this place is.
I feel like there's a little off-the-top joke to be made here somewhere.
Shit, there probably is. I'm getting one-shot decapitations. I'm not even using the sharp weapons expert. I'm using the throwing weapons expert and not throwing anything. And that enemy hit me and then just fell on the ground and I stomped her to death. She took herself out.
How often that happens.
I really don't remember that happening in the original game. Maybe I'm just misremembering, but I never remember someone hitting me, taking 3 damage for hitting me, just because, and then falling over dead. I don't really remember that happening. Okay, this is getting ridiculous with these decapitations. I'm just one-shotting them.
Super Effector would like to know if you've thought about doing live streaming.
No, live streaming is not really my thing. I'm about to get the achievement for getting 5 decapitations in a row.
Perfect.
I just got it. It's called All I Need Is One. I don't know if it's decapitations or if it's one-shotting. But because I tend to use sharp weapons because sharp weapons are more reliable to throw, I tend to get decapitations. Okay, this is getting fucking ridiculous.
That weapon is insane.
Yeah, I just modified the shit out of a sickle I picked up.
I wonder how plausible it is to just play through this entire game without ever taking any of the upgrades and just upgrading a weapon really high.
Honestly, it might be possible, because if we look at my skills right... Oh, cutscene. That's weird. It was doing a... What? I don't understand what just happened, but I'm gonna go to my inventory again. I went to my inventory, and it just pulled me out and was like, hey, are you sure you didn't want to look at this other unrelated thing? Yeah, if we look at my skills, I only just now started getting a bonus for one-handed weapons. It's only at 10% extra damage, and that's literally my only upgrade that makes me do more damage just swinging a weapon. Everything else I have is like stamina, health, and weapon throwing stuff, and rage stuff, which I'm not using right now.
Yeah, that's not really a significant bonus to...
Yeah. Oh, and I've got a very slight blunt weapon upgrade, but I haven't been using blunt weapons. So, like, can't wait till I get the sharp weapon upgrade. Right now I'm just using increased 10% damage on one-handed weapons, and really I was getting decapitations before that.
Man, I did not realize what an easy difficulty curve this game must have.
Well, that's the thing. It's got a really uneven difficulty curve.
That's true, yeah.
So like in this act, God, it did the thing again where I hit shift to go running, and it thought I was bringing up my and it brought it. Yep, that killed me. It brought up my Steam overlay because I had to tab out of the game to set it up for the stream and tab back in. And for whatever reason, some games think you're still holding down tab when you do that. So it brought up my overlay and got me killed.
Perfect.
This rage ability is completely overpowered.
Oh, it's so satisfying though.
It is. I wish it made a noise.
That would be nice.
Because it's just silent.
That's okay, you just have to uninstall that one Oblivion mod.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sickles aren't blunt. Alright, talk to me.
I need oleander blossoms.
Well, I mean, if I haven't sharpened it in long enough.
Become one of them. We can end our lives and leave this earth and go to the dream time. Will you help us?
Get 5 flowers. What a worthwhile quest.
Oleander grows in well-lit places.
It's just...
Thanks.
That's one of the perfect examples of why this game isn't so hard-hitting emotionally, because you just suddenly have changes of tempo like that, which make no sense.
Yep. It's awful. And then, like, you know, you'll have a really emotional, like, breakdown of someone's psyche, and then the quest it immediately puts you on after is called, like, Black Hawk Down. It's like, half the quests in this game are movie references. I mean, it's like, I forget in the chat who brought it up now. I'm sure they're in the chat today, probably they could let me know. But after a quest, I got a weapon called Gabriel's Sledgehammer, and you get it from a, you get it from a priestess. So, you know, it's a biblical reference, but it's also Gabriel's Sledgehammer, like Peter Gabriel. It's probably a reference to the song Sledgehammer. Which is not a horrifying or a depressing song. Like, that doesn't make you think... It was Retra? Yeah, it was Retra. That breaks immersion really badly.
It really does.
Oh shit, that weapon's damaged. Oh shit, that one too. I hate feeling like I have to really rush to get back to my, come on, let me pick it up. Fuck. Come on, thank you. I had to really rush to get back to my gear after I throw it, because I'm afraid the enemy's gonna despawn it with his still in his body. And if that happens, your weapon is gone. Doesn't matter if it was a rare weapon. It's gone.
Why would you discourage someone like that from using their main class feature?
I don't know. The throwing, like, seriously, throwing weapons, like, great idea, terrible execution. In Riptide, they tried to fix it by making it so throwing knives are their own separate weapons, so that, like, you can still throw any weapon, but it's kind of incentivized that throwing knives are something you really want to look for. But, because you don't need to retrieve that. But that's not until Riptide, and Riptide is even worse overall. Like, just because they make one thing a little better doesn't mean it's worth playing. Like, the rest of the game is significantly worse.
That's so sad.
Oh, well, that was another death. See, and this is why I say about the difficulty curve. It feels like I die way too easily in this chapter. Like, I've got so many health bars, and they just drain it like it's nothing. But at the same time, I can just slaughter people with one-shot headshots with a weapon that's not even my class feature. If I was, I think it was Jean who's the sharp weapons expert. Oh, she's a fucking meat grinder by this point in the game. Nothing can withstand her at this point in the game. Just like Sam B. He's got a thing where you can just tackle through anyone. Oh, fuck, stamina. If I can just get one more kill, I can activate Fury.
Sambi is overpowered for the same reason that 99% of video game characters end up being overpowered. It's because he's the one character with passive health regeneration.
Exactly. And he doesn't have it by default, but it doesn't take terribly long to get it. Like, if you're smart and do what I did, you rush it immediately so you have it in Act 1. And
Absolutely.
I believe, when you have that fully upgraded, I believe it is, he regenerates, like, I believe each level you put into it, because different skills can have up to 3 levels in it, and I believe the way it works is, at each different level, the amount he'll, like, everyone regenerates up the first, like, 20% of their health if they drop below that. What he's doing is upping that cap to, like, 50% and 80%. I believe by the end, it's 100%. He just regenerates all of his health. And it only takes, to go from 0 health to full health is, I believe, 5 minutes. So, considering all the walking and driving you do, you're healing a lot of free health over the course of the game. Like, many, many lives worth. It gets to the point where every time you get in a new fight, you have 3 to 4 more health bars than another character would have. And that's enough to survive a big hit.
Oh yeah, no, like, that's an absolute nuts amount.
Oh yeah, the value of that skill is absolutely incredible. And unnecessary, honestly. He's a character who's got enough going for him. The problem is that Perna and Logan are terrible characters, and Sambi and Jean are amazing characters. The gap between the two pairs of characters is enormous. And it's almost entirely, it's not even just because they use by far the best weapons, which is melee weapons in this game are by far the best, because they're reliable, and you can upgrade them, and, like, make best use of that. But on top of that, they have bullshit skills. Like, they both get skills early on that you can learn, where every time Sambi scores a bone break, or Jean scores a limb, like, cut, where they cut off a limb, they get bonus experience. There is no max level in this game. You take that one early on, and by the end of the game, you're like 10 levels higher than everyone else. Because you're scoring bone breaks and limb cutoffs every attack.
It's completely insane.
It is. You might as well just take him as early as you can, because those skill points that you might have rather have put in something else, you'll have it before the end of Act 1 because you picked the other skills.
This is one of the reasons I really appreciate Payday 2. I'm not sure there is any skill in that game which doesn't have some kind of a purpose. That I don't think there's any builds which are objectively bad.
Oh, there are plenty that are objectively bad, but that's if you make a bad build. There is no skill tree that's bad.
Yeah.
There are definitely skills and skill trees that you're less likely to go into. But there isn't one where I'd flat out say, this is not a good skill tree.
Absolutely.
Like, Fugitive you don't go into very often, but there are great skills in it, and you can make great use of it.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any skill in the game which just never has a good use ever. I'm fairly certain.
Oh, there used to be plenty. It wasn't until the skill update that happened like a few months ago that they radically changed the skills, because there are a lot of skills that absolutely never got use past like people experimenting because they were just terrible.
That's sad.
It's one of those things though that like that wouldn't affect new players, that would affect older players who know like, you know, optimal builds.
Absolutely.
And who are aware like, okay, this is the shit to avoid.
But it's also a problem that they addressed, and I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, it took them a while, but they did it.
Yeah. Well, with any balancing issue, it's always going to take a phenomenally long time, because you can't balance anything quickly.
Yeah. Can I? No, I can't do that with the kunai, can I? Oh, I can, or the kukiri, rather. Kukiri counts as a machete for the purpose of upgrading gear, I guess. Alright, my kukiri is my best weapon now. High voltage kukiri.
R-Mode says, my boyfriend started playing Payday 2 because of your videos, MDB.
Ah, I'm happy I did. did you find me through your boyfriend, or did your boyfriend find me through you? Because I'm curious, because, like, if it was Payday 2, like, the viewership on Payday 2 is vastly male. Like, very, like, it's, like, seriously, like, 3% of views on Payday 2 stuff is female. Sing Higher Love with Videos. I don't know that song. The hell's Higher Love? Is that from a game I played? Actually, you know what song's stuck in my head? I say that as if someone might recognize it. You probably won't recognize the song because it wasn't even popular when it came out. Automatic Man. It was by, oh, what was the name? Michael Samboro or something like that. Italian name. Same guy who did, oh shit, what was actually, now I'm not remembering the song he did. I got it in my head, but I'm not remembering the name of the song. Yeah, go look up Automatic Man.
Armode says that she found your videos first for her boyfriend.
Do you find me through Creepypasta? Because that is my most viewed series by women. Actually, no, I say that, but you're Finnish, aren't you? The Scandinavian countries, and Netherlands. Netherlands, watches very similar videos to the Scandinavian countries, or rather the Nordic countries, I should say. Nordic's a bit more broad. I know Scandinavian is very, like, it's like only 3 specific countries. I don't think Finland is in that. But, I know that a lot of my Nordic viewership, actually, they'll watch the video games, they'll find me through the video game stuff, regardless of gender. I don't know if maybe just the kinds of games I play are more popular with women in the Nordic countries, but I know for sure in the Nordic countries and in Netherlands, the kinds of games I play, like more so the strategy and simulation ones, tend to be very popular. Those viewerships are very heavily like Dutch and Swedish especially. Yeah, you're from Finland? Yeah. So what was the first video you found of mine? Let me sell some shit here. Okay, well that one's no good.
By the way, Mandy says that if you're still streaming in 3 hours, she should be back around then.
Oh, there's no way I would be by then. It's boiling hot, and I think in like 3 hours, I would have probably already went live with PTCP.
Yeah,
I would be about to. And I don't know 100% if I'm going to be on PCP today, just because I can already feel myself like boiling to death.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I'm going to try. I'm going to try, but I don't know who's going to be free for PTCP today. Like the PTCP chat has been a bit barren today. Yeah, you should go on PTCP sometime. I'm sure they'd love to have you. You and Mandy. You wouldn't be chat liaison though. PCP doesn't have a chat liaison. You'd be actually playing a game with them.
Oh yeah, no, I've watched enough of it to realize that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like I know so far the only person who's free for today is What a Geek. I think Guy said that he might be free for it, but he's still unpacking. So like, if he'd basically only be able to do like Cards Against Humanity and stuff because he's not at his computer. He's only at like his shitty laptop or something. So he's pretty much out of commission right now.
You did it. Incredible. I won't ask how.
It's a show I would have loved to be on when I was younger and a much more hardcore gamer. As I've gotten older, I've become so casual with games.
All I heard was hard gay.
I am hard gay.
Yeah. You know that was actually a pro wrestler in Japan, was hard gay. That's his ring. That was his ring name. Nowadays he's retired from pro wrestling, but he's kind of like a minor cultural icon and celebrity kind of guy. Hard gay. He's like a comedian. He was a comedy wrestler. But yeah, hard gay was his ring name, and I think you can go ahead and just guess what his gimmick revolved around. I don't think he was actually gay.
I take it this wasn't some kind of clever pun on a Japanese word that I'm not picking up.
No, I don't think it was a pun. Although Japan loves their puns, I'm fairly like it was a gay gimmick. And like an over-the-top BDSM, ridiculous, like stereotypical gay gimmick. It was really great. Like, they played it entirely for laughs. It was fantastic. He was in like DDT wrestling and stuff like that. A lot, like, DDT is probably the world's most comedic comedy wrestling brand. Chikara has their comedy wrestling and it has their serious wrestling. DDT, from what I can tell, is entirely comedy. That is the stuff where, like, Kenny Omega's wrestling a blow-up doll.
The chat is insisting that he was dick to butt gay.
Yeah, he was full-on dick to butt gay. Which is now my favorite thing to say. You know, one day someone's gonna get offended by that, and you know what I'm gonna say?
Do tell.
I'm gonna say, get a fucking sense of humor.
Seriously. It's not that which is
Jesus.
going to offend someone. You're going to use that in the same sentence as you use the drizzling shits.
Exactly.
And that's just going to give people all the wrong kind of mental images.
Yep. I believe the drizzling shits is actually an Ontario verbiage. It's same with shitting the bed.
I see. I really love that expression. It's gorgeous.
Actually, no, I don't remember if drizzling shits was Ontario, but I know for a fact that shitting the bed, meaning fucking up, that originated from Southern Ontario, Greater Toronto Area. It's a very GTA thing, meaning Greater Toronto Area, not Grand Theft Auto. That's a very GTA thing. And remember, this is where the majority of Canadians live, is in the Greater Toronto Area. So before you go thinking, like, every Canadian's the most polite, nice person ever. We're nice, but we're sarcastic. We're sarcastic as fuck. Alright, I gotta use the fucking waypoint to figure out where the hell these people are.
Dark Hermit asks, MDB, would you watch a clean wrestler with the name Isaac Plumbu?
I have no idea what he means. I think some of that is typos because he's Bulgarian, and he's Bulgarian, and he doesn't have the easiest time typing in English.
I'm so glad it wasn't just me that couldn't work any of that out.
Is
this some kind of wrestling thing that I don't
No,
get?
I have no idea what that was.
Okay.
No one else is. We're running out of aluminum potassium sulfate, and its use is crucial to our research. Can you get me that
Although
chemical from the
Isaac
warehouse?
Plumbu, 100% best name for a wrestler.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you a hand. Do be careful with it.
Armand says, I listen to your creepypastas. Yep, that's the most common one that I get female viewers in from. That's where I got Kaipon and mushrooms and all of them.
Some help with the research we're conducting.
The vast majority of people who find me through my creepypasta don't watch anything else I do. Like, literally, I believe the turnover rate of people who watch my creepypasta and then view, like, give anything else I watch a chance, or anything else I make a chance, is somewhere in the range of 2 to 1.5%.
We can't
It's really bad.
actually help.
So you're one of the rare few who gave me a chance.
Quickly, it's impossible to take a proper sample. John and Nick agreed to test the drugs on themselves, but we don't have the results.
Eduardo Let's Play says, so WWE wants to start using more LGBT characters. Okay, here's the thing with that. I can see that just becoming shitty tokenism. Just let it happen organically. Don't try and shoehorn it in there, you know? That doesn't work so well. Like, either go way over the top with it, or don't have it at all. It's like Darren Young. Darren Young is a gay man. He's openly gay, and that has nothing to do with his gimmick in wrestling, but he doesn't hide it. I remember once in a backstage promo, he was doing a skit where he was, like, selling WWE merchandise with his then tag team partner, Titus O'Neil. And as a throwaway gag, like, Titus O'Neil held up, like, something that had, like, a rainbow color on it, and Darren Young just said, hey, rainbow's my favorite color. And then they moved on, and it's like, that's just that gag for if you know he's gay. That's hilarious. But they don't make a big deal. Like, the commentary never brings up, and they never promote, like, by the way, he's the first openly gay wrestler while still active in WWE history. No, because that's fucking tokenism. Let him do his own thing. His gimmick has nothing to do with the fact that he's gay. And that's awesome. And I'm really digging his new gimmick and everything. They're really giving him a chance, and he's really been improving his wrestling skill. I see, like, if they're going to start doing LGBT gimmicks, the sheer fact that that is what they said, if that's the term they used, that makes me think it's just going to be dumb tokenism instead of, like, I don't know, anything. But if you look in the past of gay gimmicks, there was Chuck and Billy, who their gimmick was that they were super gay but never flat out said they were gay. And they'd come out to like fucking the song that later became Rico's theme that people might know, where it's like, you look so good to me, and it's like singing this whole thing that's like implying that it's a gay guy lusting after another man. And they'd like do this whole gay routine. And the blow off of the entire gimmick was they were gonna have a wedding. So they have a wedding because weddings are part of pro wrestling. And then by the end, like they're about to get married and they brought in a real priest and they're like, and like it gets to the very end and they're like, and I think someone like ran in or something and they're like, I can't believe this is happening in a WWE ring. This is the most ridiculous thing. And they're like, what? No, we're not actually getting married. And they're like, what? And he's like, what? Did you think we were gay? No, we're gay for pay. What the fuck's gay for pay? And they're like, oh no, we're just paid to act like we're gay. That was the bluff. It was genuinely really funny. They're like, wait, you didn't know? Like, no, we're just acting gay. And it was actually really funny. And like they really put 100% in the gimmick and it was goofy and everything. Like, it's just funny. Have a sense of humor. And there were gay rights people at the time who were like, this offensive depiction of gay people. They're not trying to depict real gay people, just like The Undertaker's not trying to depict a real pro wrestler. The dude fucking teleports and calls down lightning. Can we agree that this show is not to be taken 100% seriously?
Well, he's clearly depicting an actual Undertaker.
Oh yeah, he's definitely an actual Undertaker. Yeah, in the early days, they talked about how he made caskets and stuff, but they also talked about how he fucking, like, raised from the dead when he originally debuted. Like, it was implied heavily in the early days that he's actually a zombie. All right, I think I actually need to leave the building to get this one, but the waypoint's not fucking working.
I am actually really interested how they do the LGBT stuff, though, because given that they have really strict rules on men fighting women, I don't see how they're going to do trans people in the show without really offending someone.
Oh, I have no idea. The last time I can think of a really particularly... okay, do I have a waypoint when I walk outside? No, but I have a waypoint on my map, so what the hell? Okay, it wants me to go into a different entrance, okay. The last time I can think of a really overt, like, gay character kind of thing in mainstream American wrestling would have been, in TNA, which is not tits and ass, it's Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, which they also have a television show in the States. They're considered, like, second place in terms of views, I believe. Although Ring of Honor may have overtaken them at this point. Back in, like, 2010, they had a guy called Orlando Jordan, whose gimmick is he's bisexual, and he actually is. And he would be, like, really over the top with it. He'd come out wearing almost nothing with, like, a woman on his side and a man on his side. This was, like, some big sex thing. And he's supposed to be just this creep who basically molests his opponents. Like, he would molest his opponents in the ring. And apparently, according to him, he pitched that idea in WWE after his previous gimmick. Like, you know, his previous gimmick is he was, like, the second in command for JBL, and JBL's whole cabinet of people, like, after his championship reign, it kind of dissolved, so they're like, okay, what's next for this guy? Do we want to keep using him? And what he pitched is, like, I'm bisexual, so I want to do this whole, like, way over the top, like, I want to play up my gayness. And they're like, yeah, no, we don't need the fucking backlash of that. Alright, so the map is telling me to walk forwards here. But so far as I can tell, there's no way through. I hate this waypoint system, it's fucking worthless. Can I climb up through here?
Not the most useful.
Don't tell me this set of boxes is what broke the waypoint. I swear to God, if my waypoint starts to reappear... No, the waypoint just didn't work for this quest. Okay. Alright. At least I figured it out.
Definitive edition.
Yep. Okay, that kill was ridiculous. Oh, that one's still up? Oh no, it's one of those things where he didn't become alive until you get close enough to him. I hate that. Alright, so I'm just carrying these chemicals, right? It's not anything else. Carry jerry can of chemicals, okay.
Okay, that sort of rage kills was definitely bullshit.
Yep.
Like...
And you'll notice how it doesn't target the other guy who later starts to get up. Because it's like, oh, but he's not alive yet. He didn't stand up. Nah, 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 nah. Fuck, am I supposed to get out a different way? Oh, okay, I can unbar that. Okay, got it.
I find it so funny whenever you kill anything by throwing whatever object you're holding at the time at them. Just like a jerry can or a box of juice.
It's great too because the jerry can sounds like it's almost empty when it sloshes around.
I know, it's so beautiful.
Anders Orbeck says Katie Vick, look it up. Yeah, I know all about Katie Vick. Any wrestling fan who made it through the early 2000s remembers Katie Vick. That was the storyline where Kane was still masked and he was feuding with Triple H, who I believe was the champion at the time. It was during Triple H's really bad championship run where nothing made sense and everything was dumb. And he was just like, Kane, I know what you did. I know what you did on insert date here. I don't remember the date. And Kane's like, no, don't remind me of that. And he's like trying not to bring back some of his past. And he's like, Kane, I know what you did. You're a murderer. I know who you murdered. You killed her, Kane. And then eventually he's like, you were driving your girlfriend Katie Vick and you were driving recklessly or whatever and you swerved and crashed and she died. You killed Katie Vick. And then the next week, to up the ante, to really get under Kane's skin, he's like, I have a videotape of what you did with Katie Vick. And then it cuts to a backstage video of clearly Triple H in Kane's mask walking up to a casket with a camera angle that you can't see in it, but it's implied that Katie Vick is in it. And he's like, Katie, you still look so fine. And he climbs in and he rolls around the casket and then he comes kneeling out of it holding a pile of spaghetti or something. And he's like, Katie, I screwed your brains out. Implying that Kane was a necrophiliac. And I think the blow off to that was next week Kane says that he did kill her and fuck her. And then they just silently dropped the storyline. Because it was too fucking dumb to continue.
Yeah, no, that's pretty bad.
I love pro wrestling because when it's great, it's amazing. And when it's terrible, it's fucking hilarious. Do I still need to help more scientists? God damn it, this is a waste of my time. Alright, what other quests did I get from the scientists in this facility? I don't know which ones of these people are the scientists and which ones aren't, so I don't know what quest I'm supposed to do. Quest giver scientist. Okay, this guy's name is scientist, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that's one I have to do. I mean, you're really born into the job when your name is scientist.
You mean much like someone who's born with the name Cooper is born into the job of making chicken coops?
Yes.
Yes.
And if your name is Donald, you are a duck.
Of course.
Where can I watch WWE for free? Internet, Google it. You can find plenty of places if you just Google it. Because I don't have television, but I do have the WWE Network, so I can watch like all the pay-per-views and a lot of the shows that I'm interested in through that. And I do watch SmackDown and Raw, thanks to, again, the power of Google. Okay, so I just need to kill all these enemies. I think the one on the left is a thug. Nope, he's just a tall walker. Thugs and walkers look too similar in this game. I like how I'm basically not a throwing expert at this point. I'm basically just a melee guy.
Yeah. And it might actually just be working out better than when you were doing throwing weapons.
It's more reliable.
It is. You've managed to keep hold of a good weapon for more than 2 minutes.
Yeah. It didn't just despawn.
Man, that zone that you need to hit when you're breaking doors down is so narrow.
I know, and it feels awful because, you know, to tackle, you had to push your mouse forwards. And at what point in the push forwards it decides, okay, you're tackling now? I have never been able to figure it out. It feels really arbitrary. I don't know if it's when the speed hits a certain point or when you've hit a certain distance. I don't know. But it feels fucking arbitrary, so you've always got this weird delay, and it's just luck if you get it.
So bizarre.
Alright, with any luck, this is the last quest I have to do before I can progress with the main quest. I hate when the main quest is go do a bunch of side quests.
Very impressive, thank you. This may furnish a few pieces still missing from the puzzle.
I mean, it kind of takes the point out of having side quests if they're the main quest.
Exactly. Alright, okay, apparently that's all of them. I can go talk to Wes. I don't even want that fucking pistol that guy was trying to give me as a reward. It's a revolver that's lower damage than my pistol I just picked up off a random enemy.
Is endemic among the native population here, but the incubation period-
Seriously?
So shitty.
Many of the
It's like a blue quality weapon, and it's worse than my gray quality weapon.
But this new virus is very different. It goes full blown within
That
hours.
makes no
I
sense.
think I may be able to create a vaccine, but to do so, I need a
Are you just
stable
tackling
variant
content which
that
is
hasn't yet mutated.
higher level than
Can you
you
help me
should
with
be by the game standard?
I saw someone in the chat said, hating on America is a stupid fad and you look stupid for it. I completely disagree. I think that there are a lot of issues with the United States of America. There are a lot of issues with Canada. I have a lot of issues with a lot of countries. I think that the United States of America overall as a country right now sucks. But I think most countries suck. That's the thing. I think that most countries are well below the standard that they deserve. Their people deserve better than what they get. So it's not a thing if the United States is awful and everything else is great. I think most countries nowadays are pretty shit. So,
That being said,
is
Scandinavia
it
pretty
a
cool.
stupid fad to hate on the United States? Absolutely not. A lot of people hate on it for the wrong reasons, but there are very legitimate reasons to think the United States is not a very good country. And if he doesn't read all the comments and misunderstands what I said, part 2. I think my point still stands. It might not apply directly to what you said, but I think what I said stands to those who are in the mindset of just mindlessly hating on it.
Yeah, I'll give you a hand.
You must find someone from Ope's class.
And again, I'm disagreeing with the idea that hating on the United States is a fad. People have always hated the United States, and again, for good reasons and bad reasons.
Like that even exists.
Alright then. Now you just need to find someone from Opie's clan who hasn't had contact with the infected. And they don't even have to be bloody alive. See, they have a practice here.
If people want to know a really good, unbiased video on the follow-up of Brexit, by the way, go check out CPG Gray's YouTube channel. He's got an amazing YouTube channel in general, but he's got like a little 3 to 5 minute recap of Brexit and basically saying, okay, what's the government doing after the vote? Where he doesn't say his political opinion at all, he just says, okay, what has the government done since the vote, and what does he think they're going to do in the future? And it's a really interesting little video, just kind of explaining, you know, what is supposed to happen because it was a non-binding vote. What is legally supposed to happen, what the government has said they're going to do, and what they have done so far. And I think that's a really good video to show you the actual results of the Brexit vote without the heavy political bias you see in the media constantly, because the political bias you see in the media is just ridiculous. It's just sour grapes most of the time. So it's really nice to see someone analyzing the actual results thus far. Because I think that's what's important, is, you know, what's actually occurred, not people's feelings. Alright, I really need to upgrade my gear again. I feel like my gear loses durability so quickly. Part of that's because I didn't pick up the ability that makes upgraded weapons lose durability slower, but that's because most of the game I didn't bother upgrading any of the, didn't bother upgrading any weapons just because they despawn all the time when I throw them.
Yeah.
Can I fast travel there? There's a fast travel point. Oh no, wait, shit. That's where I'm trying to go. Where am I? I'm right here. Okay, yeah, there is a fast travel point that's pretty close to there. I think it's inside the building? Yeah.
Anders Warbear says one thing that sucks ass about America is their news. Again, I don't think that's exclusive to America.
I don't think he's saying it's exclusive. I think America is especially bad for their news stations. Like, they don't have any popular news stations that aren't really, really biased. And it's ridiculous. But that said, like, I watch news from the United Kingdom. I watch news from Canada. We've got awful news here. The United Kingdom has awful news. Germany has awful news. It's just heavily biased in other directions. A lot of the time when people think of, like, really heavily biased news, they immediately just think of, like, super right-wing biased news, which is, like, fear-mongering about terrorism and stuff. In, like, you know, Fox News is an example of that. Really left-wing networks also have just crazy fear-mongering. It's just about racism and sexism instead. Where they don't address actual racism and sexism because it's not nearly as prevalent as they want to think that it is. Instead, they try and turn everything into racism and sexism. Just like how Fox News and stuff will try and turn everything into the apocalypse is coming.
Every person in my village ate the flesh of
That sounds about right.
But many did not resurrect. The spirits are angry with us. The only warriors left are in the tombs of our ancestors.
Why are these cannibal natives absolutely fluent in English?
Take me to your boat.
I mean, to be fair, they are about 2 feet from a lab that does a lot of human testing.
Yeah, and that is about 2 feet away from a mercenary camp of Australians. So I guess it's not too hard to believe now that you put it that way. Thanks for following. Hold on, it's blurry. I winnin'. Okay, that took me a second. It was really blurry, all the letters blurring together for me.
This time, nothing but substance.
One of these days, God, I was about to say one of these days I'm gonna have to get contact lenses. I really don't want contact lenses. It's just I can't wear my glasses on camera very well because you get really bad glare off my lights. And it looks really bad. Image says, I'm from Norway and the news here is extremely biased. I'm left-wing, but I get pretty annoyed at how purely left they are sometimes. I hear that a lot from left-wing people. Again, I don't consider myself right or left. I used to consider myself left-wing in high school, but since then I've kind of looked at both sides and said, you know what? Yeah, I feel like the majority of both of these sides are really ridiculous. I'd rather just have my opinions not conflated with things like right-wing and left-wing, you know? I don't want my opinion to get conflated with someone else's, and vice versa. I don't know why these zombies all carry rifle ammo.
I mean, when you go on holiday in Australasia somewhere-ish, why wouldn't you carry around a bunch of rifle ammunition which generically fits any rifle?
Oh yeah, every rifle uses the same ammo, right?
Absolutely.
Fuck, I should have saved my ability for these.
Then again, I suppose since you're using a machete that electrocutes people, maybe there is some level of suspension of disbelief there.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I needed to get the components to do it. So you can see I have like wires hooked up and stuff on it. It's ridiculous, but at least it's not like a magic spell I cast on it. Like, kind of like how in Resident Evil Revelations 1, in raid mode, you get like weapon upgrades and stuff for your guns. And you don't have any abilities. In Revelations 2's raid mode, you literally have magic spells. Because in the main game, you can throw, like, Molotov cocktails. Well, to give people different abilities in raid mode, like, I think Barry can throw fire bottles and Jill can throw ice bottles. Like, it's literally, you cast magic. They have different magic elements. Which I'm not complaining about. It's honestly really cool. I'm kind of happy they went that way with it.
I mean, it makes sense with that particular series, because that particular series has always had a very slightly magical tint to it.
Yeah, well, it also makes sense because, like, it works for raid mode, because raid mode is just an RPG aside multiplayer thing. It's perfect for that because it's just alternate universe goofiness.
Absolutely.
So, like, if that's the mode, like, if you want to have a mode where you have goofy stuff like that, that's what you do it in. And Resident Evil has always had goofy side modes. I mean, Mercenaries mode doesn't make any sense. Even back in, like, in the early days, in Resident Evil 2, if you beat the game on the hardest difficulty, you got a bonus version of the game that's, like, the hardest version where you play through as a giant block of tofu.
That dangerous armless thug, by the way.
Oh yeah, see that's another advantage of sharp weapons is de-arming enemies. I mean, if you don't get a decapitation right away, you might as well chop the arms off. They try and bite you, but I don't know if it ever hits or if it's just like supposed to be funny. I've never gotten close enough to find out because the range seems very, very small.
Well, it clearly can't be supposed to be funny because this is a super serious game.
Oh, yeah. You know what game I started playing again that I really want to play on stream sometime? Is Hearts of Iron 4. Are you very familiar with the Hearts of Iron series?
I'm not. But I take it since you're saying you want to play it again on stream, that means you've played it before, so I should go back and watch...
No, I haven't played on stream. If I said again, that was slip of the tongue. It's... Okay, are you familiar with Paradox Interactive's grand strategy games? Like Europa Universalis, Crusader Kings, that stuff? It's, you know how like they have basically a different game for each major era. Like Crusader Kings is kind of Dark Ages, medieval kind of stuff, right? And that's political intrigue. Europa Universalis 4 is kind of colonial days. Kind of like the turn of Renaissance into colonial, you know, the use of cannons and all of that. And that's kind of less political intrigue, more grand war. Hearts of Iron is the series that starts in 1936, and it's the lead up to and the subsequent event of World War II. And it is awesome. It is one of the funnest ones of those games to fuck with, because one of my favorite things to do in those games is fuck with history, right? Because I'm a history and geography guy. It's really fun fucking with history in these games.
Absolutely.
So, Hearts of Iron 4, oh my god, I've made Nazi Canada. There's an achievement for that, by the way. The achievements are really fun in that game, where it's like, do this goofy shit that just breaks history. Like, one of them is like, conquer, one of them, I think, is use Australia and conquer Monaco or something. Another one is have Canada join the Axis. Have the entire world be fascist. Have the entire world be part of the British Empire. Oh god, one I got the other night was occupy Stockholm as communist Denmark. So you actually need to pick Denmark, and then you need to have a coup and become communists because they were democratic at the time. And then you need to occupy Sweden, which had a much better military at the time. It was not super easy, but you don't need to occupy Sweden, you just need to occupy Stockholm. So I got it just by sending in a giant horde of paratroopers, quickly capturing Sweden, getting the achievement, and then just piecing out and leaving that file. Because fuck, that's a fucking hard one. I also got another one for playing as... Fuck, goddammit. I also got another one for playing as Belgium and making 50 factories, which required I became fascist and took over the Netherlands. That was fun.
Good lord.
It's just so fun fucking with history in those games. I really want to play as Germany and see if I can flip them to democracy before World War II starts, to see if World War II even happens, and if it happens, who the fuck participates in the war if the Axis is another democratic team? All I can imagine is probably what'll happen is at the beginning of the buildup, the Soviet Union is not part of the Allies. They have their own faction. But historically, they joined the Allies near the end of that, and their faction joins with them. I forget the name of the faction. That's what happens historically, but you know, what I imagine is if Germany is the owner and leader of the Axis, of course, and at the beginning of the build-up, they have no one else in the Axis. They haven't recruited anyone to it yet. Oh fuck, my dude's getting ganged up on. So, I imagine if both the Allies and the Axis are democratic, they'd probably all just gang up on Russia.
Oh yeah, no, historically, that's absolutely what would happen.
Oh yeah, and you know what else would probably happen is, I bet you anything Japan would team up with Russia. Because Japan would have just conquered China, or been in the fight with China, and sometimes China wins that war. I've seen China win that war, and in my most recent file, Japan fucking dominated the war, to the point that I looked at the world tension meter and it's at like 99%. I was like, holy shit, how did it get so high? I hovered over it. I was like, Germany hasn't been doing anything in this file. I hover over it. 99% of the 99% was generated by Japan. I look over at Japan. It had conquered all of China.
Holy
I was like, oh my god, I've never seen them have that dominant of a war with China. They conquered China before World War II started.
To be fair, with the way that China was...
Did Mo's mic fart a lot? What? Did my mic fuck up? It's possible that my Adobe Auditions, which is doing the live effects to get rid of the white noise for the stream, it's possible it had a buffering issue for a second and sounded really fucked up.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah. It's not a huge deal, though, as long as it's okay now.
Just Vexation says Japan wouldn't team up with the USSR because of their differences between their ideologies. I kind of agree with this. I think there's also the huge issue of the huge tensions they had post... Russian-Japanese war in 1008. Sorry,
yeah, but honestly,
1908.
I think they do it because they'd probably see it as required. Like, honestly, like, if Germany and the Axis, like, if Germany went, okay, if first of all, it's worth pointing out, if you go fucking democratic with Germany in that game, chances are, like, the rest of the Axis is not coming with you if you had recruited people as fascists. Like, Italy's not coming with you or anything.
Absolutely.
And if you don't play as Germany or Japan, it's almost a guarantee that the first person to join the Axis is Japan. They usually join it very early, and Italy tends to join very last minute. Because Italy is kind of doing their own thing in Africa for the most part, and they don't really give a shit about anyone else, but they're heavily fascist. Japan is the most heavily fascist team in the game by default in terms of public support. Japan is literally 100% fascist at the start of the game. There's no other political party that has even remotely any power, whereas at the start of the game, Germany has a very strong democratic team. They have like 25% support for the Democratic Party, which is very high. So there's civil unrest they had to deal with. And then Italy is mostly fascist with a little bit of communist, because, you know, Mussolini himself used to write for a communist manifesto magazine.
It's amazing how many fascist countries in Central Europe pre-World War II were right on the brink of going communist.
Yeah, that was a very popular thing at the time.
Yeah.
And again, fascism is looked at very negatively now. Back then, it was way more normal because, like, it was not dissimilar to old-style monarchy.
Oh, absolutely.
In fact, it had a lot of advantages over it. The advantage for monarchy, like a very classic style of monarchy, where, like, nowadays, with most monarchies and other constitutional monarchies, where they're democracies, they just also have a royal family that has more so diplomatic stance, like diplomatic sway, more than they do actually like running the government. It's more of a symbolic thing. You know, like the queen, like we both have the same queen, but the royal family isn't fucking controlling our governments.
Absolutely.
That's mostly kind of independent from it. We're like we're both a constitutional monarchy. We're the same constitutional monarchy, and we're by all means we're democratic. But in a more classic monarchy, the only difference between that and fascism, the advantages for each one is with a monarchy, even if the next monarch is not a naturally inclined good monarch, they're trained since they were born to be the next monarch because it was always known that they would be the next monarch. So at least they have a lifetime of experience. The advantage with fascism is that they have the power of a monarch, but they aren't necessarily like the previous fascist is probably going to, like, the previous despot is probably going to try and pick someone who they think is going to do a good job. How accurate that is, you never know. There's a lot of cronyism and favoritism. But you're not stuck with someone who's totally shit just because they're the next in line, you know?
It's the question of whether it's more important to train someone specifically for the position or to give the position to someone who's earned it, in theory.
Yeah. And both of them have their own clear advantages we've seen over history, but in the end, I still say democracy works much better.
Oh yeah, no,
Like,
I
don't
agree on that.
like what you're giving the decision of what the people, like, you're giving the decision to the people of them being able to vocalize what they want, and then it's the job of the government to make that a reality. And I think in practice that tends to work the best, because it's so hard to unify people under the idea of the government may not always have your best interest in mind. And although they don't always have your best interest in mind in democracies, there's no way to ever have them guaranteed to have your best interest in mind all of the time. At least with a democracy, you change things up fairly frequently, and people have the incentive of listening to the people, because if they don't listen to the people, they're not going to get reelected and they're not going to stay in power. So they have to listen to the people to some degree.
Absolutely. That being said, I do think that you can't have a functioning democracy if you don't first introduce a good educational system, which is what we saw in Russia in 1917 when Lenin tried to introduce democratic elections. Everyone just tried to vote to get a royal family back, despite the fact that it hadn't worked for them. But because it was all they really knew, they just voted for it again.
Yep. And that's the funny thing about Lenin was, like, in general, Lenin did a really good job during his reign, but his reign was very short. It didn't take long before he was assassinated. So Lenin had a really weird reign where, at first, he didn't want elections in the beginning because he was afraid that if someone else got elected who didn't have the same vision, he was afraid that they would fuck up the fundamental building blocks that needed to be in place before elections could work in the new political system.
Absolutely.
So he was afraid, like, at first, that they couldn't have elections because someone could just come along and fuck up the fundamentals. Which, is that a valid argument? Probably. But is that then not a reflective of a fundamental issue with the system of government he was putting into place in the first place?
Here in this tomb,
Absolutely.
you will find many of my ancestors.
And, of course, Russia has an enormous history of corrupt governments. They overthrow their government fucking constantly, because they always had shit governments and always came back from it. Well, look at the USSR. How long did it take before they got a government who didn't give a fuck about the people? Less than 5 years.
To be
It's
fair,
just-
that has a lot
that's-
to do with Stalin being so assassination heavy.
Oh, he was horrific. I don't blame that on the government type. I blame that on Stalin. And I don't think communism's a great type of government, because it's absolutely rife with censorship, is how it often operates. It's rife with censorship, and I think that sucks. And people like to say, like, it always goes corrupt. It doesn't go corrupt any more often than democracies, historically.
Absolutely.
I just say that it's not nearly as effective. It more often it brings more of the time it brings people down to the level of the impoverished rather than helping the impoverished climb back up.
I think generally it's a really difficult subject to discuss because if you say communism, some people interpret what you're saying as Marxism, and then other people interpret what you're saying as war communism. And those are two very different things.
Here's the thing, we can say democracy, and there are countless different governments that are democracies, that we consider democracies, that use different titles and different rules. The definition of any of these things is incredibly broad, and can be interpreted countless ways.
That's quite true.
So, like,
if you look at where Marxism is on the scale and where war communism is on the scale, they are at exact opposite ends of the scale.
Oh, absolutely. Like, what Karl Marx envisioned is not even remotely what you see in practice in basically any country. I don't think there's ever been an accurate depiction of Marxism displayed in a country that lasted more than a couple years before morphing into its own unique thing.
Certainly not on the large scale that Marx sees it on. You definitely see that kind of thing occurring in communes.
Yeah, you see it in communes and everything. And it works well on a small scale. It could potentially work on a large scale, but we don't know. Because it's never been implemented on a large scale. Because whoever ends up being in charge starts shifting things around. And, like, I'm not the kind of guy who aggrandizes Marxism. I am not a huge fan. I do think, however, that no ideas should be taboo to talk about or to think about, because you never know when maybe the ideology doesn't function well, but there are aspects of it which could be implemented into a different government type and work fantastically. You can always learn as long as you're willing to let people talk and you're willing to listen.
Absolutely. Even if you think that a particular ideology has absolutely nothing that you can benefit from it, the fact that you think that demonstrates that you can learn what not to do.
Yeah. It's kind of like a freedom of speech thing where if you truly believe someone to be racist, don't make it so they can't talk by using hate speech laws. Because then you just won't know that they're racist. Like, let them speak. Let them be hung by their own words. Let them, by all means, let them speak. And if anything, letting them not speak, that just means that the ones who were actually going to be violent are more likely to be violent. Because if you literally keep them from speaking, then all of a sudden their thoughts in their head that they're being oppressed for whatever reason become validated because they're literally not allowed to speak about it. And so the crazy minority within those that were willing to be violent are way more willing to be violent. So there you go. That's just my rationale. Chet does bring up a good point, though. If I end up talking politics a lot, I probably do talk about politics too much in the streams. Just because people come for the video games, and for the comedy, they probably don't come for the politics. I don't know. YouTube comments later. Let me know if the politics things annoy you. And chat, you can let me know live.
YouTube comments, if you want to let us know that you love the politics, you should respond with the hashtag France was right.
Fuck. You really want to make that a meme?
There's like two people in the chat who are going to get that.
I don't even remember the fucking origin anymore.
Neither do I.
I don't even know what you thought they were right about. It was a video game thing, right? Like a Civ thing?
I think it was Civilization, and they met you, and the first thing they said to you was you were really wise. It was some shit like that.
I thought it was the first thing they said early on was that I was a warmonger. Oh, some guy's dying over... Oh, I didn't even know I was supposed to save a guy. This is what I get for not listening to their stupid, inane bullshit dialogue. To be fair, 95% of what they say in this game doesn't matter. Alright, I'm gonna go help this person now.
is it not completely essential to understand that that one girl's teddy? I don't even know what we were supposed to take from that girl's teddy.
She thought it was alive, and she's a crazy person. That's all I gleaned from it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And the best thing we could think to do was to feed that insanity.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
We're really responsible. God, I hate this knife. It's only good for throwing. The DPS is great, but it's got no range.
Thanks. Now let's get the hell out of here. Run to
It's got a really gorgeous design.
The knife?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looks. It reminds me a little bit of a Roman custis.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa! What happened there? The man I was following despawned.
Oh.
Okay. I guess I'll follow this other person. I hope they're going in the same direction. So did chat respond on if they hate that I talk politics?
I'm seeing a lot of I don't mind.
Well, that's the thing, too, is, like, I think people don't mind much when I talk politics. I never really get complaints about talking politics. In fact, I don't think I've ever gotten someone who just flat out said, stop talking politics, you're pissing me off kind of thing. Because, I pride myself on being really understanding and wanting to see all the sides of the picture. Where, like, I never say, like, I hate right-wing or I hate left-wing. It's, no, everyone, like, you know, I think some things are more valid than others, definitely. I have my own opinions, but, like, I don't think people are bad for thinking other things. You're never going to completely agree with someone. Everyone has different visions for the country.
I also think a lot of the time when people don't like someone talking politics a lot, they tend to not like the minutiae financial detail of politics, which can get really dry and boring.
Or it's that the person is, like, really not understanding the perspective of the other side, and that's the side the person is on, so they're pissed off because you're misrepresenting them. I think that's a common issue. Because misrepresentation in politics is enormous. People always, they never have any empathy or understanding of the other side and what the other side's arguments actually are. Which is, again, why I don't consider myself right-wing or left-wing.
Sounds pretty reasonable.
Is I don't want my opinions conflated with others, and I don't want my opinions, I don't want to conflate mine with theirs, and I don't want theirs conflated with mine, just because we share a label. And I cannot accurately call myself right-wing or left-wing. Are you planning on doing a playthrough of Hearts of Iron? Absolutely. We're gonna do a bunch of playthroughs of Hearts of Iron. I love Hearts of Iron. I've been playing a lot of it recently. I was just talking about it earlier on the stream, actually. Alright, let's get rid of these arms. There we go.
Oh, apparently I've not answered a question. I don't know what question I'm supposed to have answered.
Thanks for following, Stanka. Hearts of Iron is really addictive. I only really got into it at Hearts of Iron 4. The third one I played a little bit of, and it wasn't clicking with me. You know, I wasn't quite getting my head wrapped around it. I was fine with Europa Universalis, actually. Like, I clicked with that one right away. But, Hearts of Iron 3, for whatever reason, just wasn't clicking with me. But Hearts of Iron 4, the tutorial wasn't great, but very shortly after the tutorial, something just clicked, and I was having a ton of fun. I'm still not great at it. I definitely need a lot more practice running big countries. I mostly play small countries and kind of working my way up. So, like, the countries it recommends at the beginning, countries like Germany and England, I find those pretty difficult, just because it's very daunting. There's a lot going on, and, like, I don't know the names of the vehicles and what they're good at and everything, so I don't know where my strategy should lie in terms of the minutia of, like, what military units should I be making. I'm more of, like, I'm better at the grand strategy part of it. So, I definitely need to work on that. I'm no expert or anything. I need to put more time into it before I play it on the show. So yeah, I'm not great at the game. Recommend these artworks for your Hearts of Iron playthrough. What do you mean, like, something? If it's like fan art someone made, I can't use that without their permission. Like that, like they could literally take down my video if they wanted to for me stealing their artwork and using it in my videos, because my videos are commercial works legally because I run advertisements on them.
Who's next?
That's okay though. You can just put a filter over it and pretend that it's parody, right?
Oh.
I'm sorry, I couldn't even get through that without laughing.
I think that parody laws are really, really important. But there are some people who try and get away with some real dumb bullshit under the name of parody.
Oh yeah.
Thumbnails, I mean thumbnails. Yeah, I can't. I've had a video taken down for a thumbnail before because it was someone else's artwork where I used a picture of someone's art in a thumbnail of a video because I had permission from a person to use it. And then it was taken down later and I had to strike on my account because it turns out the person lied to me and didn't actually make the picture, someone else did. So that person contacted me and I contacted them actually. And they're like, use my artwork, and I'm like, I'm really sorry. This person claimed they wrote the story and drew the artwork, and it turns out they did neither. I'm really sorry about that. Would you like me to take down, like, could we work something out where I either take down the picture or maybe give you financial compensation or something? And the person, when they understood that it was literally just a mistake, and that someone had lied about it, they instantly apologized and they got rid of the strike on my account. But no, like, you can't use artwork you don't own in a thumbnail because the original owner can legally strike your account because you don't own that. It's not like it's the case of a movie I'm reviewing. Like, if it was I'm reviewing a movie, of course I can use the box art or screenshots from the movie. Of course. That's protected under review laws. I can't just steal someone's artwork and use that, like, in a creepypasta reading, for instance. Like, I can't just take someone's fan art of that without their permission and just use it. Which is why, like, when you see my channel art and stuff, it's either stuff I make, or some of it's like, I got little bits of fan art in there that I asked for permission. And if you ask him for permission, if I look at the pictures and I like them and I feel like I should be using them, and I ask permission and they say yes, then yes, but I haven't even seen the pictures yet, so... Oh, fuck. Did the person get stuck in a hallway? Oh, cool. Our Pathfinder just got stuck on some doors. I like how it's just totally silent. We're just running through the lab. Doors are opening ahead of time for us.
I thought I was going to die.
Oh yeah, no, that's really convenient.
Yeah.
I wish I did.
The DNA might
Did the person you were following just get trapped behind the door when it opened?
But it will take
The pathfinding's not great.
we may be able to save this island after all.
Genius.
As for the girl, I
But
need
yeah,
to
no,
check.
I would love it if automatic
She's
doors
infected.
worked
She
this
should
well.
stay here. We'll be in touch.
How long can this take?
Clueless Chile brought up the movie God's Not Dead. That movie is so insulting to atheists. It misrepresents them so horribly. Oh my god, that movie made me single-handedly hate Kevin Sorbo. I didn't know anything about him personally before that, but after I watched that and then learned that he is like a really staunch Christian and that he just doesn't understand atheists, I was like, wow, it's totally okay to be Christian. It's not okay to make a movie where you just fucking, like, insult, berate, and misrepresent atheists. That's such a shitty thing to do. Why would you do that? I'm not saying, like, it's not okay, like, ban the movie. That's ridiculous. They have every right to put that movie out on market. And I have every right to say it's a piece of shit movie.
I can honestly say I've not seen it, and I've avoided it for exactly that reason.
It is so insulting. Like, it takes a lot to get me genuinely mad at a movie, because, like, I don't get offended easily. It's really hard to offend me. And I pride myself on that. I don't like the idea of taking offense over something. It's just whining to me. That movie genuinely made me angry. Because there's a fundamental disconnect between what is actually believed and what isn't. Like, the main villain of the movie is played by Kevin Sorbo, and he's just this fucking dickhead who happens to be an atheist professor. And he doesn't even, like, know how to argue against any reasonable argument that the people came up with in the movie. And at the end, he admits that he hates God. He believes in God, but he hates God. And isn't that the most fucking... Then he's not an atheist. He believes in God.
I love Kevin Sorbo as an actor, but I hate it when he brings religion into anything.
It's so frustrating to watch. Anyway, I'm gonna get off that topic. Terrible, terrible movie. It completely... It tries to act like this is the ultimate argument to prove that God exists. And it has this terrible argument in it. Oh god, I don't even want to get into it. It makes me angry even thinking about it. If you guys want to know about the movie, look up some reviews on it or something, and like all the reviews on the movie just like point out like video reviews, and they show clips of it and they basically just rebut the arguments in it. Because I'm not going to do it right now. I haven't seen the movie since it came out. There's no way I would be able to accurately represent the argument the movie does so that I could accurately argue against it. There's so many videos that do it better than I could anyway.
You saved my life for the second time, so I owe you one.
It amazes me how many times you'll see a form of media claiming that it can prove or disprove religion, and it's just like, unless God shows up with his passport to demonstrate that he is actually God, I don't see a way that you can prove either way.
Yeah, it's just like I've always said, like, I don't... first of all, the onus is on the religious to prove that he exists, but personally, I don't care if it's proven or not. Let everyone just live their own life in their own way that they want to live it. It's not hurting anyone. When you start if you kill people in the name of your God, that's your own personal decision, and that's hurting people. It's horrible to do that. But if we're just fucking... Oh god, I have to go back to the slums. I hate Act 2. But if we're just talking about regular old religious people, who gives a shit? Don't try and convince them to not believe in what they believe in, and they shouldn't try and convince me to believe in what they believe in. Don't harass me over it, and I won't harass you over it. So
it's
ridiculous.
one of those interesting areas where I will understand if a Christian tries to convince me that Christianity is right, because what they're doing is they're trying to save my eternal soul. Maybe I don't agree with them. That's what they're going to do.
I don't get mad at them for that. They have a legitimate worry.
That. Yeah, that's a reasonable thing to worry about. What's
when
an
I first
atheist benefit from trying to convince you that atheism is right?
I don't know.
It doesn't.
That's why I don't do it.
Fundamentalist atheism is so confusing.
If someone wants to talk to me about it, I will genuinely talk to them about it. However, I'm not gonna fucking try and like convert people. It's like, when I met Fatima, she was Muslim, and I never tried to convert her away from that. She ended up becoming an atheist over time on her own, and I always made it clear to her I never wanted to pressure her. And one thing that she often talked to me about was she said, like, you know, I really love you, and I'm really worried that you're going to go to hell because my religion says you're going to go to hell for not believing in God. And my argument in response was, if I live my life being what I believe to be a good person and doing good things without the incentive of thinking I'm going to any kind of afterlife, thinking I'm getting no reward for it in the end, then a loving God will probably send me to heaven. And if he's going to go into semantics enough to send me to hell for not knowing he exists and not believing he exists and being a good person despite it, and he'll send me to hell for that, I wouldn't want to be in heaven in the first place. And that is my response, and I've never heard a rebuttal for that, because that's just my approach to that thinking. Like, religious people often think, like, what if you're wrong? Isn't it better to believe in him on the off chance that he exists? And I say, no, because if he's vindictive enough to punish me for going wrong in my reasoning at some point, then I refuse to worship someone that vindictive and awful. So, yeah, that's my stance.
I'm going to misattribute this quote for sure. I think it's Aristotle said, "A God who is not forgiving is not worth believing in."
I think that may have been Aristotle. I learned a lot of it in philosophy class.
I'm fairly sure.
I want to say that's an Aristotle thing to say because he was very much, I don't know what happens after you die, so let's focus on what we know we have right here in life.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was Aristotle's focus. Is, you know, the famous picture of Aristotle pointing forwards and his teacher would have been Plato pointing up. Or no, it would have been Plato pointing up, where Plato, his focus is on, let's figure out what happens after you die, and Aristotle's like, I don't know what happens after you die, but I know that this life exists, so let's focus on this one. And there are a lot of interpretations of that painting, of course, and it likely never happened, that scene. And it's even possible they didn't exist, but what matters about philosophy is not whether they exist or not, is that these thoughts happened and we can mull over them today.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why I love philosophy. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. What matters is we can have those thoughts and have those thought experiments and learn from them. It doesn't matter if these exact people exist and these thoughts are attributed to the right people.
I could really use a beer.
Which is why I say that Jesus had a great philosophy. I don't know if he exists, and I don't know if the religion is true, but as a philosophy, he had some really great ideas. Same with Gandhi. Gandhi's basically just Jesus on steroids in terms of philosophy. They were very similar in philosophy.
I will point out that Jesus had some weird ideas on nutrition. 5 loaves of bread and 7 fish. That doesn't work out at all.
Yeah, you can't have wine all day, buddy. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think this is another reason why people don't usually get mad at me for talking religion, because my stance is kind of, you do you. Don't bother people for having a different idea of what happens after you die. The only time it's an issue is when they use it to justify doing something truly awful. I got plenty of friends who are of all different religions. I got a couple of Wiccan friends, and I don't even think they're ridiculous for believing in it. They literally believe in shamanism, they get so much shit for it, and I think it's none of my business to harass them for it. They're good people.
I have a friend who is a reverend and a druid of the 3rd degree, and the fact that he can be both amazes me.
Yeah. I know a lesbian priestess. There you go, that's weird, but fuck it, you do you. Absolutely. Anyway, I think I'm going to end the stream here because I'm absolutely boiling to death. So, yeah. Think about it for coming to the stream. I will hopefully be live on PTCP later, but I genuinely don't know because I am wilting. Until next time, have a nice day.